So in round 3, the X-Men have drawn the token from the bag, and it's their choice, and they're going to actually choose to start with their initiative. Cyclops is going to go first, and he's going to try his focused beam, which just costs 2. It does have a 16-inch range, but it's only 2 damage. So first, Cyclops will try that, and he's going to shoot at Captain America. So his initial one, he's going to use just not overload it. And so Captain America's energy defense is 15. Captain America is going to spend a 1 token to increase that to 17, doing an evasive maneuver. And so Cyclops on 2 dice then, his attack is still 7, so he needs an 11 on 2 dice. So he got a 10, so he ended up missing. He's going to actually do that again, and he's going to overload it, so he's spending 3 more tokens. So this time he did it. There were no criticals though. And so that actually causes 2 damage on Captain America. Captain America is still in the gray zone, or the healthy zone, but he's pushing it. Now, Cyclops has more tokens left, 2 more, and he's going to actually do it a 3rd time. Because he's not moving or doing anything else, it allows him to do multiple attacks like this. And he got exactly 11, a 6 and a 5. So that actually will cause, and for those of you that may not know this, the defensive improvement actually lasts till the end of the round that you paid for, and so he was still able to, Captain America was still in that evasive maneuver. That is in the rules that you can keep that until the end of the round. And so Captain America actually goes 2 and now is in the what they call the pale zone. Now, believe it or not, sometimes this does make it so you have to test for a knockout at the end of each round to see whether you kind of go unconscious, because he is injured now. But he does actually get an extra power token. Captain America on his card gets an extra power token when he goes into the pale zone, so that actually in some ways temporarily helps him a little bit. So, now that's the end of Cyclops' turn. He is out of tokens, but he's done a little bit of damage, and ended up injuring Captain America and putting him into the pale zone. So we'll see what happens next for the Avengers. One thing I didn't mention is Cyclops has an ability called Master Tactician, which I haven't used yet, and I should have. I just hadn't thought to, but it allows Cyclops to make a roll at the end of immediately following his turn, a willpower roll, and if successful, you can immediately activate another model. So if you want your next model to go, like Cyclops right now, and to bypass your opponent, he could potentially do that. So Cyclops' willpower is 8, so I'm just going to try. And he does make it, and so now Cyclops will go. And so we'll be right back. So Cyclops chooses to move up with 1 token, and he's going to try his once per round Crushing Smite on Iron Man. So Crushing Smite is the attack, Iron Man's the target. Iron Man will try to spend 1 token to go into a combat stance to Now, because Iron Man's a flyer, he immediately gets +1 against non-flyers for only melee attacks, so that makes his defense 15. He spends an extra 1 and brings it to 17. Colossus will spend his 4 to do this attack, and then he will also spend an additional token to overload it, to give him an extra die. And Captain America will try to do a shield block as well, spending 1. So first we'll resolve just to see whether Captain America ultimately cancels the attack. And so the shield block's an agility roll. So he actually passes it and cancels the attack. That's got to be quite disappointing for Colossus, because that was actually set up to be pretty well. Yeah. Iron Man did spend his defense token, so he does actually have the combat stance to the end of the round. It did force him to do that, but that was actually very unlucky. Okay, so now, next, the Avengers will end up going, because both Cyclops and Colossus have gone for this round. So, at this point, we'll see who goes next. I think it'll end up being Iron Man. So in this game, there is no rules for breaking away and getting tangled. Heroes can actually, at will, move into base-to-base contact and out of base-to-base contact. Iron Man spends 1 token to move out of the way in order to do a ranged attack at Colossus. He will start by doing an overloaded repulsor blast. It costs 2. It will cost him 3 because he's overloading it. And he will take the extra die. And so it has an 8-inch range, which is fine. Colossus has 1 token left, so he's going to improve his defensive ability against energy attacks to essentially take an evasive stance, bringing his 17 energy defense to 19. So Tony has essentially an attack of 6 plus 1, 7 in the gray zone. So 7 to get to 20 is going to essentially be a 13 that he needs, because he needs to get it over the 19. And that's going to be on 3 dice. So this could be difficult. So Tony does fail it. And so that essentially does nothing, just misses. And he will spend an extra 2. Actually, you know what? He can't hit with a non-overloaded 1 when Colossus is that high. Or no, actually, let's see. Actually, he still missed with that roll, but he can potentially hit because he has a 7 and he needs to get to over a 19. So that's essentially, I'd said the number wrong. He didn't need that high. He actually needed a 13. Yeah. And so essentially, it is possible on 2 dice that he could get it, so we'll try. Still gets a 10 and misses. So both times he misses Colossus. Did a little bit of funky adding there. And so now it's Captain America's turn, and we'll see what he does. So Captain America spends 1 token to move up, and he's going to engage Colossus, and he's going to use his shield strike. Now, the shield strike is irresistible, which basically means, likely just exactly what it says, ignores any resistance the target may have to the nature of damage type of the attack. This attack's damage. So it's a damage of 1 and it costs 2. Captain America is going to actually overload it. Now, Colossus just used an energy defense. He has no tokens left, and so he can't actually raise his physical defense, but his physical defense is already 20. So Captain America is basically on an attack value of 7, and he needs to get over a 20. So as I count that, that should be 14 that he needs on 3 dice. So he ends up getting a 10, so he ends up missing. Now Captain America is going to spend another 3 to do the same thing exactly again. So this time he gets a 16. Now he did roll any double, so there's no critical damage. All this will actually do is 1 damage, but it is irresistible now. I don't believe Colossus doesn't have anything to negate this normally anyway, but what that does do is put Colossus into the pale zone, which in this case gives him 1 penalty to his armor defense, which is his physical defense, which is actually quite good already. So Captain America has 2 more tokens left. He could actually choose to do the same thing again without it being overloaded, and I think he will. So then on 2 dice, he's still looking... Well, now actually Colossus's defense is 1 down, so he's actually hitting... He needs to get to a 19. So it looks like it's 13 now. So he gets exactly 13, and he also gets 2 5s, which gives him a critical. So that actually puts 2 damage on Colossus and puts him further into the pale zone. So now it's the end of round 3, going into round 4. One of the differences is we have 2 of our characters that are injured in what they call the middle or pale zone. Captain America, they both will actually need to test their stamina or end up being knocked out, which you can recover from. It's sort of like kind of getting woozy. You're falling down from your injuries. You can recover, but it's a bit of a random element once characters starting getting injured. Now, Captain America actually has a stamina of 9, and he's also a soldier in his skill set, which basically says that he can re-roll failed stamina saves. Captain America is pretty good like that. He actually has a number of his saves he can re-roll. So we got to go 9 or less. So he fails the first one. And he makes the second one exactly, so he's not knocked out. Now, Colossus' stamina is 11, even better, but he doesn't have the re-roll. So he rolls a 10, so neither one of them are knocked out. So now we go into round 4.